neither one's wrong because we're all involved in our own community. Now, and just to show people, I own silver, all right? I also own a little gold. Gold and silver are great for local transactions. Now, in a global based economy, cryptocurrencies are much more favorable of a unit of exchange of value.
Hello there, my friends. Chris Marcus here with you for Arcadia Economics, and today is part 2 of my interview with Bitcoin Ben. First part, he talked a bit about the deep state, what Trump may actually be doing behind the scenes. And today in part 2, get into the cryptos, gold and silver, whether they're on the same side or are these against each other. So hit that subscribe button and then enjoy part 2. Although to shift over to the Bitcoin world a bit, perhaps maybe the first thing to touch on there, again, for people who are diehard metals and, don't have, they're wondering, well, does the Federal Reserve own Bitcoin? Or what could you say to folks like that? Maybe that they're on the same team and we don't have to fight against each other on this one?
Yeah, and for those of you who say that the government created Bitcoin, you're not wrong. It's the SHA 256 algorithmic program and technique of cryptography was actually created by the federal government in communications of military plans and documents in the mid-90s, and if you want to go earlier than that, cryptography in the shape that eventually led to cryptocurrencies originated with Adolf Hitler and his I can't remember the name of the machine, but it basically used cryptography to encode a message. And the only reason we actually figured it out was we broke the private wallet, his cipher code of their cryptography. And so, because cryptocurrencies are just programs of ledgers, they are decentralized ledger, right? And in order to really understand how cryptocurrencies could replace silver and gold and fiat and all that, we have to really go back to and understand what is currency. Currency is a shared illusion amongst humans. It can either be on a local point of view or a global point of view. Like, if you want to get really, really local, then it's a person who's right next to you, and you go, hey, I'll trade you this ink pen for this little box here. Okay, well, there you go. We just exchanged value. They value this, and I value this, so we traded. That exchange of value can actually be represented in any way if the two participating parties agree that each item they're receiving has value. And what what we've reached now is a point in history where we're applying value to things over the internet
Yep.
just as much as we place value in things uh, that are physical. You know, it's the argument of the handwritten letter versus the email. Is, you know, we used to handwrite our letters and mail them. Well, now we send out email. Now, the value of the handwritten letter wasn't the paper that it was sent on, it was the message, the information on that paper that had value. And in an email, you receive that value of information just more quickly than you did with a handwritten letter. The value is in the uh, eye of the person receiving the letter or sending the letter. Because if you're writing a note to your grandmother and you mail it to her, and it doesn't reach your grandmother, but it reaches somebody else, they don't value it because it's not their grandmother. It's exactly the same with an email. If you send your grandmother an email and it doesn't wind up in her email, winds up in someone else's, they don't value what you're saying to your grandmother.
Right.
It's it's the the application of value is what gives everything value. It's why there is a gold and silver community, because there's a group of humans that value gold and silver. Now, there's also why there's a group of the cryptocurrency people, because as we value the the Litecoin and the Bitcoin transactions. We've placed value on that in association with another currency like the US dollar. You know, we value Bitcoin right at about 9,950 US dollars. That's what our community values actual Bitcoin. Where with Litecoin, we value it right at about $81 or whatever it is right now. You know, that's what our community values Litecoin at in association or trade for US dollars.
Yep.
The neither one's wrong because we're all involved in our own community. Now, and just to show people, I own silver. All right. I
Yep.
also own a little gold. And I have I have 98% of me in cryptos. And I hold about 2% in silver and gold. The reason I lean that way is because uh, I understand that humans evolve actually based on efficiency of exchange, where you know you don't hear a whole lot of news of this huge revolution of people giving up cars and going back to horse and carriage. It's and and not trying to say anything negative towards the fundamentals of gold and silver. It's just gold and silver are great for local transaction.
Yep.
They are wonderful for, in fact, if we had just a collapse, gold and silver would outperform cryptocurrencies like that. They'd be, they'd, crypt, cryptocurrencies wouldn't have a chance. And because it's the lack of of knowledge of the general public of cryptocurrencies in comparison to the lack or the knowledge of silver and gold with the general public. I can easily walk up to a person who has like bread and water and go, hey, I got this silver here. Can we do a little trading? Well, that person, no matter their age, well, maybe 25 and over, maybe 30 and over would be more apt to accept silver and gold. And where uh, whereas whereas I could actually take like my Litecoin wallet or my Bitcoin wallet and go, hey, can I can I send you some Litecoin for some bread and water? They're going to look at me and go, what the pluck did you just say? And they may not be familiar with it, but they're very familiar with silver as an exchange of value. And as for price of silver and gold, that's going to be based on the usage of the silver or gold in your local community. If there's not a lot of people that hold silver and gold in your local community, the value or the usefulness of silver and gold in an emergency may not be as easy as just cash. You know, cash on hand would probably actually be outused more than or used more than like silver and gold. But it's really based on the environment. Now with cryptocurrencies on a global and in a global based economy, cryptocurrencies are much more favorable of a unit of exchange of value than like gold and silver, because gold and silver, in order to exchange it, you have to mail it to them, ship it to them, or anything like that, or use a third party derivative of your holdings of silver and gold. And that would be, actually like backing the US dollar with silver and gold. The dollar would be a derivative representation of the silver and gold. Well, with cryptocurrency, it's completely different. The transaction is the uh, is the is the delivery of the unit of exchange. So it verifies its exchange in the transaction on a global scale. So it's basically being able to psychically, transfer this coin from my hand to your hand. And as soon as it hits your hand, I actually get a receipt that pops up in my hand that shows you received it. It's, oh, um, in a Mad Max scenario, uh, which I don't think is going to happen. I know a lot of people talk about what ifs. What if we're hit by an EMP? What if we're hit by, an asteroid? What if Jesus shows up and knocks on your door? Well, in those scenarios, I think the last thing we're going to be worried about is is uh is which one's going to win, Bitcoin or silver. No one's going to give a crap because they're going to be worried about water and food, and and they're not going to be really thinking of a global exchange more than let me go talk to my neighbor and see if he has any extra water.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You have a lot of great points in there. Perhaps most of which there's some people that are going to value gold and silver, and there's probably nothing that you can tell them that's going to change their mind. And there's some people that feel the exact same way about cryptos. And I think what all the Austrian economists talked about was freedom, let the money forms or currencies compete, and whatever serves the most utility. Again, it was actually Bix that kind of won me over to the crypto side, where I realized I want to buy something on Amazon or hire someone in China to do something online. I'm going to shave 0.24 grams of my silver coin. Um, and again, like we were saying before we hit the
Yeah.
record button, I think we can all swing away at the same government pinata there, Um,
Yes. It- we have a common enemy, and that is the global banking structure. Uh, e- every sing, every single dollar they print is just another chain in our chain of slavery.
yeah.
And I'm actually, if you watch my show, I'm more pro freedom than I am pro cryptocurrency. I don't care what you exchange your value in, as long as you choose it free will. And I think we would all rather exchange and hold our labor value in something other than a inflationary, U.S. or not even U.S. Global, U.S. dollar that's losing purchasing power every year, and the people that print it have a goal of 2% a year of losing value. It's like, try that with your wife, honey. Every year I'd like to be 2% less faithful to you. How's that sound? She's going to knock you in your eye, and you're going to have issues. You 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 want something that is going to hold its value and not inflate away or lose value over time. You want something that is going to gain value, or hold purchasing power. And gold or silver and cryptos can all do that because it it frees us from our chains and locks national governments in the chains of arbitrage against freely traded real stores of value.
If we could just get some central bankers to understand that, then
Well, we really don't need to because, especially with like cryptocurrencies, we don't need them to agree with us. I mean, it the idea that the government has to give the blessing over cryptocurrency is an illusion. That's all it is. It's it's like in the early 80s when the federal government said, okay, we're going to have a war on drugs. Well, how'd that go? Yeah, that war on drugs just went to hell in a handbasket because it's all an illusion. It's just a marketing campaign. And you choose whether or not you want to listen to the marketing campaign and actually believe it. You know, uh, oh, we don't need the federal government to, regulate cryptocurrencies. That's just them trying to figure out how do we have an environment where cryptocurrencies exist but don't hurt our existing structure where we lose control? That's what regulations are. They're not to protect us. Regulations are there to protect the system. You know, uh, if you listen to that one gal, Lagarde or whatever her name is, just last week, she's like, "Well, the uh, uh, the IMF is monitoring, and want to make sure that the global economic system is it isn't threatened by cryptocurrency." Well, yeah, let me translate that. We need to rein in these crypto people because they cannot give a crap about what we say and still exchange value. So they're sweating bullets because you have Venezuela that now Litecoin and also Bitcoin are legal currencies
Yeah.
in Venezuela. So that means that Russia and China can avoid all of uh, the uh, the SWIFT system. If China wants gold or if China wants oil, just buy up some Bitcoin, shoot it over to Venezuela, and they'll ship you some oil over. And that's what scares the hell out of the global banks is is uh, we've reached a point in history where our technology has has freed us from these repressive and controlling monetary systems.
Yeah, it certainly is a fascinating point in time, and I know I've had you on here for a while. One last one, if you care to offer a comment,
Yeah,
then we can wrap up. I know we talked briefly again before we hit the record button about Veritasium, which kind of brings this all together. And maybe you could give a quick overview of what Veritasium does, and then any thoughts on the case there, because it seemed to me at least to be a battle between government trying to squash cryptos, and so any comment on that one?
absolutely. Veritasium is a is is a utility token for a platform or very uh vi wait VIVI, is that right? Very,
VERI.
yeah, VERI is the utility token for a platform called Veritasium. And basically what the platform was an honest market. It was or is, because it's just software, it still exists. Uh, it is the replacement for the New York Exchange. It's the replacement for any other exchange, and it's an honest peer-to-peer transactionary platform that the very token was kind of the membership token for, the utility token. And that Reggie Middleton, which is the creator uh, of the Veritasium platform, uh, was drugged and just robbed by the SEC. The SEC are criminals. They are criminals with a badge,
Yeah.
and they basically robbed Reggie, and Reggie had no recourse because the system, even the legal system, is rigged so that the system survives. it no longer revolves around the rights of the individual. The system was built to control the individual, to control the creativity of the individual. Where if you come up with an idea that's too good, oh, I don't know, like Nikolai Tulsa, you know, that we can squash that idea because and we'll put it under the excuse of national security. You know, if your idea or if your system is so bad that it has to rob people and hurt people to exist, the problem's probably not the individual with the new idea. The problem's the system that's trying to keep itself alive,
Yeah.
because our economic, and I would even argue our governmental structure in America no longer even remotely resembles the Constitution, or even earlier than that, if you want to go way back to like the Magna Carta and all that. It's we're so far away from freedom. We we can't even see freedom. We wouldn't recognize it if it walked up and slapped us in our face. We think we're free, and we are we are the freest slaves that have ever existed.
Yeah, it's sometimes even hard to put into perspective where, again, we mentioned MK Ultra before, and I often, I do a lot of meditation and prayer and things to in fact, I always love when you mention about not worrying. I'm learning that one slowly. I think we are far more infinitely powerful than we realize yet. It's like, I think, geez, if they were spending this much money and effort back in the 70s, God knows, I don't know, maybe I think I like chicken, or maybe I'm programmed to think it. Yet in the end, I sure do have a great admiration and respect for folks like you that share all these incredible things you've seen. I think that's the definition of a patriot, not someone who just blindly says yes, whatever the government Twitter
Right.
feed demands.
If 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 you salute a flag, but yell at a soldier, then you're missing the point, because it's that flag is just propaganda. It isn't the flag that we should look to. It's the If they really wanted to have a flag, it wouldn't be red, white, and blue. It would be the Constitution printed on a piece of cloth. Let
Yeah.
that fly, because then at least you can read the actual message that it represents, you know, or even the Declaration of ind, Independence. Have the Constitution on one side and the Declaration of Independence on the other side, and that would be a flag that I would gladly salute, because then at least as you show these children who are being raised up and they're actually saying the Pledge of Allegiance, they're not saying it to a couple of colors,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, I sure appreciate that and all that you stand for. Perhaps just in wrapping up, you can let folks know where they can find you and find your channel and all the good stuff you're doing.
Yeah, you can actually find me on YouTube. I'm under you, Bitcoin Ben, and on Twitter you can also find me there. Watch out, there's a lot of not me's on Twitter. Uh, that have like my name slightly spelled differently. So if you can find me on Twitter, also under Bitcoin Ben, and I'm also on Facebook and like LinkedIn and all of the great social media platforms.
Well, I sure appreciate that, sir. Appreciate all that you're doing, and pleasure to finally catch up. I really do admire what you stand for and what you're sharing. So thank you for joining me today, and I'll look forward to following all the good stuff going forward.
Awesome, brother. Well, thank you for having me, and everyone have a great day.
So that is today's episode. I do thank you for spending some time with me and hope you enjoyed it. If so, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you again soon.